My name is Odelia in Tiamwa, 24 years as a communicator and a media leader. I bring you today great information about how to really build successful teams. Successful teams require to understand the breadth, the length, and the entirety of the business. And therefore, at the start of the business and at the start of your orientation, the mission, the vision of the business, where you are going, you need to let every single member of the team understand. Let me give you an example. When I joined the multimedia group, a great media group in Ghana, one of the greatest things I learned at the start of the business, on the day of my orientation, was the fact that you needed to know that every single action of yours was contributing to the business's excellent delivery of what their customers really wanted. And therefore, they were looking for a sharp content that will attract middle to upper class Ghanaians who have the spending power. Having gone through that kind of orientation, by the time I hit my desk to work, I knew I had to produce nothing short of excellence. And that was the mindset I was given from orientation. Now, from that orientation, I also got to know that anytime I failed, I was dragging the entire business down. And the rest of the team, that is from the security up to the last person in the business, everybody was contributing for us to either rise or fall. And everyone was working at their best to make sure that the level that we have reached, we were never going back. One of the key things you can also let your managers have when they have become a part of your team is that your managers must understand what it means to market a business. So marketing for non-marketing managers was one of the key things I learned along my journey. Every single manager was given this opportunity to learn to market the brand, so that when you're sitting in your office and somebody gives you a call and there's no marketing manager, you can actually sell the business. So every single member of the business and those at management do not have any business just sitting at their desk and just, coasting. They all have to be part of the business. That was one of the things I learned. Then also, whilst you're putting together, for example, your management team, finance for non-finance managers is one of the things they need to also know. So, for example, they need to understand the numbers. If they don't understand the numbers, they cannot tag along. So the numbers should not just remain with the finance department. On a consistent basis, let the entire team know how much you're making so that they're excited, they are winning, and how much you're losing so that if there are leakages in the business, they themselves want to plug those leakages. So that is also one great thing I learned on my journey building teams. Then another thing I have learned on my journey building teams is that for the team members to know, and whenever I do this with the training that I do for different people, what I observe is that people even cry at these sessions. Now, you need to be empathetic as a leader, and therefore you need to know every team member. When I was being hired in one of the businesses I worked in, the owner of the business actually drove to my husband's site to go and convince him that I wanted your wife to work for me full time. And that is a company with a heart. So you need to know about every team member that is within your team and even without your team. What I do when I go for team bonding sessions, one of the questions I ask is, why do you behave the way you do? And every time I ask this question, I start with myself. My parents were divorced when I was 6. I lived with a single father. And based on that, that is why I work the way I work. And that's when everybody really gets mushy. But we begin to become empathetic to each other. We begin to understand each other, and we begin to give room and treat each other in the most respectful way that we all deserve. So next time you're trying to build teams, you perhaps should reach out to me and let's have a conversation. This is Odelia's Conversations. Thank you and adios.